Welcome back to the Final Fantasy V Ancient Cave. We are going to look at a couple of the boss floors in the Ancient Cave here today. Let's take a quick look at the party. A couple of samurais. I did find a nice samurai sword, so a couple of samurais at the samurai job as well. So they're going to be dealing the most damage of this party. I'm trying to level up also my Mage League classes, although I've been kind of low in finding spells for my mages. I have not found very many spells. I'm kind of unlucky that way. I've been finding more notable weapons for my characters, so I'm definitely more of a physical offensive type party right now. Trying to pick that up. The dancing dagger does make that nice. The heal staff also is extremely important in this hack because any kind of free recovery is very notable. There are some floors that have some recovery jars in them, but those recovery jars are not infinite, and of course you cannot go back to them. So anytime you can recover anything for free, it's very important. So the dancer skills from the dancing dagger or from the dancer class, where you can recover either HP or MP, and things like the heal staff are very important. Also things like monk's chakra and others. Even though it does take an action, having a white mage there with the heal staff really does help keep you alive. You've noticed a couple times already here on this floor, I fought a couple of Galera-type enemies. That is how this boss floor works. It is populated only with boss-type enemies, and you'll notice right away, I'm sure you've seen, the absence of a clock, meaning that you could walk around this floor for a long time and grind up some AP. Although the AP well does dry up just a little bit, and the boss battles are not always as easy as the ones you've just seen with Galera. Here is a double battle with Carlaboss and Crayclaw, and this one would be very, very dangerous because anytime you have characters dying, you're going to have to spend Phoenix Down spells or Phoenix Down items on them, because I do not have the life spell yet or any other kind of recovery. So Phoenix Downs being, of course, very rare, very valuable in this run. Trying to keep people alive after getting knocked out with the boss-type enemies like this is very tricky. And also, these guys have pretty high defense, and I don't have, as I said, a lot of magic to get through their elemental weakness. So even with a nice samurai sword, the hard armor of these guys is kind of beaten on me. The tail screw there knocks the white mage down, and if you follow it up with tentacle right away, you do have a death, which we have just seen. Now, Jitterbug, of course, allows us to recover some hit points, but the combo there of tail screw and then a physical attack is really yucky. Now, luckily, the armor of my samurai is actually higher than what the normal old Carlaboss could get through, so even though that hit landed on him, it did 0 after the tail screw. So when you have the tail screw going back and forth, you're going to lose a lot of characters here. Do you notice the gil toss there? I lost a whole bunch of gil, and it took out Carlaboss, but it did 0 to Crayclaw, and that means that Crayclaw's defense is higher than the attack value of the gil toss, and that's something that you can run into. By the way, it still did use up a whole bunch of gil to try to hit him with that, but sadly, it did not land because, again, it has a big multiplier, but the base attack is something that if you can't get over that defense, or if you can barely get over it, even with the big multiplier, you're not going to get there. So this floor is very, very dangerous indeed with that one laying around, although the 33 AP from that fight was pretty nice. The 33 AP was pretty good. This looks like a regular old Wing Raptor, gives us 6 AP and a Phoenix Down, a precious Phoenix Down, which we really, really desperately needed. So I'd love to grind for Phoenix Downs and some AP here, but I would be scared of running into more Carlaboss-type battles. Here's another Galera. And also, according to the guide, I believe boss floors are not infinite. I believe the boss fights do eventually run out on these floors. They do eventually run down. And without any guarantee on the AP, it's kind of hard to reliably hang around here. Plus, in this one, you never know what you're going to get there, so I got no AP from that one. No AP from that battle. So I'm just making sure I got everything on this floor, because there has been a lot of notable stuff. There's a Black Mage job. I need to pick up some decent spells for that Black Mage job. because again, even though I have 2 majorly jobs, I'm really waiting to pick up that haste spell. I'm very excited to get the haste spell whenever I do. Whenever I do. I hope it hasn't been in a chest that I haven't seen. And that's something I actually do not know, is if an item is in a chest that you miss, is it possible that that item can appear in a chest later on? Here we can see Garula, I guess, is susceptible to confusion and does knock itself out with a weak physical attack into its own defense. So I will not be showing any of the intermediate floors between videos, because generally they are randomly generated. There's not much notable happening in them outside of some rare surprises where you will have some monster in a box that's several levels higher than what the monster should be, which I run into already. And once you figure out the way through most of these tile sets, they're not very notable in between, except for just running into some upper level enemies. So a lot of this is, if you're playing it safe, is just grinding and getting things ready. So with that, I think we will finish up floor 11, and we will make a time jump here to floor 22. This is another fixed floor. It's another boss floor. And this one is always the steamship. And you have to do the steamship puzzle backwards to get to that chest if you want it. Now, it is totally optional to get that chest, and actually highly not recommended by me that you go for it in a normal run, as we will see here soon. Normally, you should just go right out that bottom door. You should ignore that chest. That chest contains a ribbon, but the price of that ribbon is a very, very difficult battle, which we will see, with 2 Iron Claw, Death Claw enemies, and 1 Liquid Flame hand form. Both of which are souped up from their normal forms and very, very, very dangerous, as you will see here soon. This is not the first time I played this one. I did have a successful fight that I wanted to show you, and a successful collection of the ribbon, but it did require several attempts using save states, so I would not try this in a normal crawl of this dungeon. The Iron Claws can use Iron Claw on their first move, so you can have 2 Iron Claws fire up, so you have a couple of characters in critical hit points. And then, of course, once Liquid Flame gets to the flame move in its routine, it will take you out. So their Sword Dance took out one of the Iron Claws, so that required a little bit of luck for me. Fire 3 on itself is Liquid Flame's second action. Seems to do that pretty often. I don't have the algorithms guide, obviously. This Sword Dance, nice to take out that other Iron Claw. Now we just have Liquid Flame. Now, on the third action, we will have the Flame move incoming. It's not so dangerous when you haven't been hit with a couple of Gill Tosses. Or, sorry, not Gill Tosses, of Iron Claws. I am using Gill Toss here after the Iron Claws are dead because, again, they have a really, really high defense, and I'm wasting a bunch of my Gill on not doing any damage to them or doing very little to them. So we have a couple of big hits from Gill Toss with Krill. Otherwise, I would run out of Gill on the first one. And the Sword Dance with the critical hit from the Katana is what brings down Liquid Flame. So again, it does rely on some 95 AP. It does rely on some luck, and it's not something I would recommend going for on a regular crawl through this dungeon. But I did want to show you what the battle looked like and what a successful fight of the battle looked like. Some decent treasure there, a wind spear, and then the diamond vest. That's a nice upgrade. And then, of course, the ribbon. That will be for my dancers, which I do have the dancer job. And then also later on when I am on freelancers and using all of my different jobs, that will be nice to have a ribbon in hand, especially this early in the game. But it's really, in my opinion, not worth it to potentially end your run thanks to a bad roll of the dice on that one battle, 22 floors in, when you might already be a couple of hours into a real-time crawl. There are a couple of very, 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 very rare random encounters on this floor, I believe I have seen. We don't see one here in this one, but I think it is possible to run into some of these steamship-type enemies here on this floor. So, but not really, they're not really common enough to make it worth grinding here while you have some free time. So I would not recommend going for that. That's going to finish up the second part of our guide. We are going to go deeper into the Dark Dungeon and see what is waiting for us next time. If you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave me a comment, leave me some feedback, or get in touch with me on Twitter where I am active_ATE. Check out my other channels, Sticky Bleachers, my retro sports channel, and my other classics types channels that you can see in the description below. We will see you next time, and have fun with Final Fantasy V.